Yes, miracles happen every day in chiropractic offices. The colicky baby who, after one adjustment, sleeps quietly for the first time. The child who suffered for so long with the pain of ear infections or bedwetting, not anymore with chiropractic care. A man who was told he would have to be wheelchair bound, dependent on oxygen, walks and breathes again on his own. To even those who have had their sight or hearing restored, big and small miracles do happen daily in chiropractic offices. You may have even experienced one of your own. But let me stop talking and introduce Dr. John Gainrich, who would love to share some special stories with you. Dr. John.
So as you wait in your reception area there, I want to ask you a question. My question is, are you a chiropractic miracle? So many people don't realize that they expect a huge miracle when they come in, and some people are just happy if their neck and back pain go away. But I want to tell you that every adjustment, there's a miracle going on. And as you know, and as you heard through these tapes prior, is that the brain and the spinal cord control everything in the body. And if any of these bones go out of alignment and cause a kink in the hoses that go to the organs, cells, and tissues of your body's going to start to degenerate. Your body's going to start not necessarily having symptoms, but not working at full capacity. We call that dis/ease. That's disharmony in your body before a disease actually shows up. So today I'm going to share with you some amazing and powerful miracle stories that hopefully will inspire you not just to keep your little chiropractic miracle a secret, but to tell people about the miracles that are happening in your chiropractic office that you're in today. So let me share with you a few stories that really have inspired me. One of them that's really powerful is a little boy came into me with his mom. His mom was crying, saying that she had to give him tubes in his ears for the 8th time since he's been born. Since he was 4 months old, he had tubes over and over again. And at this time, she was really hoping, because she heard from a friend, that chiropractic might be able to help with the tubes not having to go in the ears. Amazingly enough, after about 2 months, because we only had 2 months before she went back to the ENT, the ears, nose, and throat doctor, to get rechecked. And within those 2 months, after adjusting and giving the people some minor dietary changes, that little boy, Elwood, did not need tubes in his ears. It was really exciting, so exciting. I'm going to tell you about another little boy. His name's Anthony, and he had asthma. He was doing albuterol and a whole bunch of medications to help open his lungs up. His mom was very sad because they wanted to give him prednisone and a whole bunch of other drugs that were a lot more invasive because they were not working. So she heard again through a friend that chiropractic might be able to help. And guess what? After 2 months of adjustments, but after the first adjustment, the boy had a violent reaction of releasing all these toxic substances, coughing and vomiting and releasing out all these toxins. And the boy no longer has asthma, thank God, to this day. So these miracles happen day in and day out in your chiropractic office that you're in. And you might not know that because you came in for a back or neck pain or a headache or after a car accident. But the truth is, the bigger idea of chiropractic is what we're sharing with you today. Is I want to impress upon you that don't let your children and your family members that might suffer for something other than a back or neck pain or a strain or an ache. Not that those are not important, but how important is it that your child not have asthma or allergies or ear infections? Now, we're not saying we cure all these things 100% of the time, but the ratio and the percents of success are astronomical. And again, you ask yourself, why did my doctor not tell me about this? I could share many reasons why, but the main thing is that you're in an office, thank God, that does do something naturally for your family and naturally for your kids and naturally for you, so you don't need to resort to the harmful side effects of medications and possible surgeries. So definitely think about that. Let me finish with a little story for you that's really very dear to my heart. I'll tell you about a little boy and his mom. We'll start with his mom. His mom was pulling a big heavy bag through Europe and felt a pop in her low back when she was on vacation. That pop actually affected her reproductive system and she was not able to get her menstrual cycle. She came back to the United States and of course all the medical doctors wanted to give her drugs and different things like that to try to get her cycle back. Thank God her sister knew a chiropractor and actually sent her to one, and she was able to get adjusted to prevent her from needing medications. And within 1 month, she was able to actually get her cycle back. She was so excited that actually she didn't need medications, and she liked this chiropractor so much that a year later, when her daughter was born, she named the doctor, the chiropractor actually was the godfather to the daughter. So that's how close she was. Unfortunately, 4 years later, the son was born, And this little boy, he had a tumor the size of a baseball in his intestines, and his intestines were all tangled on top of each other. And unfortunately, he was not able to be checked by that chiropractor because for whatever reason, they didn't know to get him checked. So at that point, modern medicine and emergency medicine saved his life. The surgeon took out the tumor, resectioned his intestines, and the boy survived. But he wasn't a healthy young boy because he had a lot of asthma, a lot of allergies, a lot of issues because of all the anesthesia that made him very sick. At 4 years old, his mom could hear him in the other room breathing so heavy, and the TV was so loud because he couldn't hear. So of course she brought him to the medical doctor, the ears, nose, and throat, or ENT doctor, and they actually found that the tubes in his ears were shut down and that his adenoids and tonsils were so swollen that the boy couldn't breathe. Now of course modern medicine at that time would take out those extra spare parts, and they would just take those organs out, like the tonsils and the adenoids, and drill the tubes back into the ears. Each time the tubes were drilled into the ears, besides the nasty nausea and vomiting that the little boy had, he also would reject out the tubes within a few weeks. So they kept on rejecting because his innate intelligence of his body kept on pushing it out. Each time he went back from 4 years old all the way to 8 years old, he kept on going in and out of the hospital, each time having to get anesthesia, each time getting sicker and sicker. Of course, antibiotics and other medications were given to continue to help suppress all the other symptoms like asthma and allergies that were developing. At some point around 9 years old, this little boy was brought into the doctor's office, and the doctor gave him a choice to have the tubes put into his ears without any anesthesia. So unfortunately, he actually decided, though, to go and get actually these tubes put in, where his parents had to hold him down, and he had to get those tubes drilled into his ears with no anesthesia. So as they cut open the eardrum and drilled the tubes into his ears, this boy suffered so. And of course, what happened a few weeks later? The body innately would continue to reject those tubes out of his ears. Again, being told that by 13 you'll outgrow it. So as he developed the bronchial asthma and allergies, he started eating more and more medications, like different types of inhalers and things like that, in order to do the sports that he wasn't able to do at full capacity because of these type of ailments. All of this was done without ever being checked by that chiropractor initially that took care of his mom. Now, of course, you can imagine that me speaking to you today, you can imagine that all these stories that you're hearing today and all the stories that we're telling you, you can imagine that that little boy would have been helped by a chiropractic adjustment, especially up here in his neck. And the reason why I'm so passionate and excited to share this story with you, but also to tell you how sad I am, is that unfortunately I was that little boy. I suffered. I didn't get adjusted. And I get really sad to think of how many other little boys and girls out there suffering like I did as a little baby. I'm very blessed now to be able to take care of these young children and these adults, to bring them back to health naturally, without drugs, without surgeries, without harmful side effects. There's always a place for emergency care. As you heard from me in my story, the tumor was taken out. But after that, nothing was done to keep me healthy. And I committed to actually going and making a difference on this planet to help other people have their chiropractic miracle. And your chiropractor is doing the same. So don't let this story die here. Share the story. If your kids are not in this office, bring them in. I have nothing to gain. I have plenty of new patients that are bringing their children now. But you know what? You have people you love at home or that are not getting checked, that are suffering with asthma and allergies and ear infections, taking harmful medications, not seeing results. Try chiropractic. I'm not saying it's going to work 100% of the time. I'm going to tell you, though, you will always benefit without that subluxation or misalignment in your spine. And there's never a harmful side effect, only positive side benefits. So give chiropractic a try for your family and friends. I know you're already here, but definitely spread the word. Don't let this miracle story and your miracle die with you. Spread the word and have an awesome, blessed day.